Today, we're diving into what could be a really big deal in the fight against one of the most stubborn cancers out there. We're talking about the PANOVA 3 trial. The results were just presented at the big ASCO annual meeting, and they're giving some real, tangible hope for people with pancreatic cancer. So, let's get right into it.
First things first, we have to understand the stakes here. Pancreatic cancer, it's just brutally tough to treat. Most people are diagnosed when the disease is already advanced, which leaves doctors with very few good options. And honestly, progress in this area has been painfully slow for a long, long time.
And if you want to know just how tough, well, this number says it all. This is the 5-year survival rate for pancreatic adenocarcinoma. It is a grim, grim statistic, and it really underscores why any advance, even one that seems small on the surface, is actually a huge deal for patients and their families.
But what's so fascinating about the study we're talking about today is that it didn't test a new chemo drug. It wasn't a new kind of immunotherapy. No, this approach deploys a totally different weapon against the tumor. It uses physics. The tech is called tumor treating fields, or TT fields for short, and the way it works is just cool. Instead of using a drug to poison cancer cells, TT fields generate these low-intensity electric fields that switch back and forth really, really fast. And this, well, it physically messes with the internal parts a cancer cell needs to divide. It literally gets in the way of multiplication, which can slow the tumor down.
So what does this actually look like for a patient? It's surprisingly non-invasive. You have these transducer arrays. They look kind of like big sticky pads that get placed on the person's torso, right over the tumor area. Those are hooked up to a small portable device that creates the fields. And then you just wear it. The recommendation is for 18+ hours a day, so you can go about your life while this thing is working quietly in the background.
Okay, so we've got the tech. Now let's look at the crucial test, the big experiment that was designed to see if this thing actually makes a difference for pancreatic cancer. The PANOVA 3 trial.
The entire study, with all its complexity and its 571 patients, really came down to one simple, powerful question. For people with locally advanced pancreatic cancer, the kind that can't be surgically removed, does adding TT fields to the normal chemotherapy regimen help them live longer? That was the ultimate.
The setup was a classic head-to-head comparison. So you had one group, the control group, that got the standard of care. That's a 2-drug chemo combination. Then you had the treatment group. They got the exact same chemotherapy, but they also used the tumor treating fields device. It's the perfect way to figure out exactly what effect the device itself is having.
All right, so this huge global trial runs for years. It's following hundreds of patients in something like 20 different countries. And when they finally unblinded the study and crunched the numbers, what did they find? The big question, right? Did this whole idea of fighting cancer with physics actually move the needle? Let's get to the headline results. And the answer is yes, it did. The study hit its main target. The people who got both chemo and the TT fields device lived for a median of 16.2 months. Compare that to 14.2 months for those on chemo alone. So adding the device gave patients a statistically significant 2 extra months of life.
But like with any really good science, the headline doesn't tell the whole story. The benefit wasn't exactly the same across every single thing they measured. And to really get what this device is doing, you've got to look at those other details.
And this is where it gets really, really interesting. When you dig in, you see this fascinating pattern. Look at what got better. Pain-free survival, a huge jump, from 9.1 months to 15.2 months. That is a massive win for a patient's quality of life. And the time it took for the cancer to spread to faraway organs was also much longer. But, and this is the key part, look at what didn't change. The device didn't seem to make tumors shrink more on scans, and it didn't really change how long it took for the main tumor to start growing again. This whole picture suggests the device isn't just about shrinking the tumor you can see. It might be working by controlling the disease on a bigger scale, maybe by stopping cancer cells from escaping and starting new fires elsewhere in the body.
Okay, so what about side effects? Is it tough to tolerate?
Well, the most important thing here is that the TT fields device didn't add any systemic toxicity. That means the chemo side effects, the fatigue, the nausea, those were pretty much the same for both groups. The issues related to the device itself were almost all skin reactions where the pads go, and for the most part, they were mild and manageable. Only a tiny fraction of patients had to stop using the device because of them.
So, let's put it all together. You've got all this data. What does it actually mean? What's the bottom line for treating pancreatic cancer going forward? Now, I know a 2-month survival benefit might sound modest to some, but you have to understand, for this specific cancer in this specific group of patients, this is a landmark achievement. This is actually the first big phase 3 trial for this patient group to show a significant survival improvement. It's a real concrete step forward and a place that's been desperate for one. And don't just take my word for it. Experts are saying the same thing. In an editorial for the super prestigious Journal of Clinical Oncology, Dr. Eileen O'Reilly wrote that this combination now serves as a new standard paradigm in this patient population. I mean, that's about as strong an endorsement as you can get.
So if you're going to remember just a few things, here they are. PANOVA 3 gave us a new effective treatment. It's the first of its kind to show a survival benefit for these patients. It improves not just how long people live, but also their quality of life, keeping them pain-free for longer. And critically, it does all that without piling on more of the tough systemic side effects of chemo. And that leaves us with a really exciting question to think about. This trial adds powerful proof that this unique, physics-based way of fighting cancer really works. So if tumor treating fields can make a real dent in a disease as notoriously resilient as pancreatic cancer, you just have to wonder, what's next? What other tough-to-treat cancers could this help?